Do I? Should I? Yes. And I go to try them on and they were made for teeny tiny baby hands. Am I a fancy lady now? Like, do I need to go do fancy things? Like, hey everyone, Katie here from Thrift Your Heart Out, and today I am back with a little vintage haul for you guys because you know, I know, we all know that I love everything vintage. I've always been a vintage enthusiast. I love things from the 50s and 60s. I love going to antique stores and little vintage stores and just rescuing things from time past. It's just something that's always been really important to me. And I don't know what's come over me lately, but I've really tried to make it a point to either revisit stores that I've gone to before and fallen in love with, or take the time out and research vintage stores in whatever area that I'm gonna be in just to see if there might be something for me. So I'm trying to really make an effort to go to vintage stores more often rather than hoping to find vintage items at the thrift store, which does happen, and I do have some pieces to share with you that I found at thrift stores, but it's always really fun to go to actual vintage stores where they specialize in it, they know what they're collecting, they curate beautiful things, and then you get to go and shop and support them and the work that they do and just have a great time searching through those items. So I'll be sure to share a couple of stores that I am just so in love with, definitely going to be going to again, and of course all the goodies that I found at those stores. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump on into the haul. So first up are a few clothing items that I did find at just regular thrift stores. So the first place that I went was Salvation Army, and I got the best little cape. So what it is this really sweet little plaid Pendleton cape, and I mean obviously like that print, so classic. You can wear this from here to eternity and be totally good to go. But of course the fact that it was Pendleton, this is an entirely wool piece made in the USA. Like, there's nothing better than finding something like this at the thrift store. And what was even like the cherry on top of this amazing find was that it was less than $6. It was $5.79. Like, what? That is so crazy for an item like this that is in such amazing condition. There's no tears, no pilling, nothing like that. It looks perfect. So happy to find this, and I know I'm gonna wear it so many times. So next up are a couple of pieces that I found at Eco Thrift. So the first thing that I got there is this absolutely stunning dress. Like, look at this. That color, to die for. I have nothing this color in my entire wardrobe, so of course I was drawn to it and happy to add it in my closet. But then what really got me is the print all over it. It's this really interesting, vaguely tropical print because it does have some palm trees kind of lower down on the dress. But what I can kind of make out from it is that there's these women that are sitting down together, weaving some kind of blanket or something. I can't quite tell what it is. And then down at the hem of the dress, there's women kind of walking around doing the same thing or holding a basket of the blankets in their arm. So it's just this really interesting story that's kind of unfolding over the dress, which, like, when does that happen nowadays? Like, find me a print. Anything like this. I just think it is so cool, so completely unique, and it really just screams spring and summertime just because of the color and obviously the fact that it's sleeveless. I think it would be great for some kind of like backyard soiree, because those happen all the time. But I just can't wait to rock it and just be that person who wears something completely different and unique to a party. I always love that, having something that's a conversation starter, and I know that this one will be. So I was really happy to find it, and I was able to get it for half off that day, so it was only 10 bucks. So last up for clothing is literally the most gorgeous coat I think I've ever seen. Oh my gosh. So what it is this beautiful vintage coat, and it's knee length. It goes all the way down, and you guys aren't going to be able to see, but it actually has this texture that goes all the way on the sleeves, all the way down the length of the coat, all the way to the hem, and then it has this fur collar that also goes the length of the coat right here in the middle where the buttons are. It is just so freaking fancy. I tried it on and I was like, am I a fancy lady now? Like, do I need to go do fancy things? Like, like it just instantly transforms me, and I am so all about that. So I had to have it. It was a little bit of a pretty penny at $50, but I thought for what it is, a truly vintage coat that has real fur on it, that is in such stunning condition, I was actually okay to pay that. And it was kind of my Christmas gift to myself because I did find this just a couple of weeks before Christmas. So I kind of hemmed and hawed over it, and my mom was with me and she was like, you need to just get it. You're never gonna find anything like that again. So thanks for the encouragement, Mom. I am really happy that I got this, and it serves its purpose. It is so warm and so lovely to wear. I wore it a couple of times during our really cold days that we have here in Sacramento, and it kept me nice and comfy and cozy, and I just felt like $1,000,000 in it. So I'm really, really happy I found this one. So for the rest of the haul, I have some great accessory pieces to share with you guys. So first up are some items that I found at a place called Robin Marie's Vintage, and it's up in Auburn, California. So if you guys are ever in the area, make sure to go and check it out. I've been there before, and guys, it is a literal vintage candy store. It is so beautifully curated. She does everything by decade, so you can go and look if you want something from the 50s, the 60s, or further back into the 20s and 30s. She has it all nicely categorized, beautifully displayed. Oh my gosh, she has hats running all throughout the top of the store, dresses hanging from the ceiling. It's just, every time I walk in, I'm just like, hi guys, like, I'm just in love with this place. And I think that she could tell. She was like, oh, you're having a good old time. And yeah, I did. So I ended up with a few really special, beautiful things. So the first thing that I got while I was there is just this tiny little bee brooch. And you guys know I got married a couple of years ago now, which is crazy to me. Like, we're coming up on our 2-year anniversary. What the heck? Crazy. But I did change my last name. My name is now Ball. And I've been wanting things to, you know, commemorate that, some new monogrammed items. So I've been on the hunt for some bee items, and I found this in with all of her other brooches. So I got so excited. It's just this sweet little thing that I can wear on whatever I've got on, and it'll just be my little nod to my new life with my amazing husband. So I just think that is so cool. So I had to get this one, and luckily for me, it was only $5. So I don't know if there are any other vintage enthusiasts out there that are always on the hunt for vintage gloves, but that is me, and OMG, the struggle to find proper fitting vintage gloves is real. Like, it is ridiculous. I come across the cutest gloves in beautiful colors, and I go to try them on, and they were made for teeny tiny baby hands, and I feel like straight up Andre the Giant trying to shove my hand in there, and it is not working. Like, it is ridiculous. So I was really happy at Robin Marie's store that she had an entire section of gloves, and I was like, that's it. Today is the day I'm gonna find some vintage gloves. And I did. And they're these. Ah! Like, I'm so happy. And I know that they're just black, but they are classic. I'll be able to wear them a lot. But I love that they're kind of that shorter style, and they're kind of a suede material. So they're just timeless, and they fit beautifully. So I could not believe my luck with finding these. I think that they are absolute perfection, and they were only $10. So right when I walked into her store, to the left, there was a table set up with all of these different colored vintage handbags, and it just looked like a rainbow dream. I actually shared a picture of it on my Instagram because it just made me so happy. And there was one smack in the middle that had my name all over it. So what it is this really awesome yellow as sunshine handbag from the 60s. Like, look how sweet it is. Like, it just puts a smile on your face. Like, how could it not? So I saw this and I was like, oh, do I? Should I? Yes. Like, it barely took any convincing because I've never come across a handbag this color in such great condition. I've never seen that. So I had to take it home with me. It was a little bit pricey at $40, but the fact that I've never seen anything like it, I was happy to pay it because honestly, you can't put a price on happiness, can ya? Nope. So next up from that store, I actually scored some amazing scarves, and it was funny because I was looking around and we were kind of winding up the trip, and I was like, it's weird, she doesn't have any like neck scarves on display. Like, what a weird thing to not have on display. And she heard me talking to Christopher and she was like, oh, I got scarves. So she pulls out like 3 huge boxes of just every kind of scarf that you could think of, and she was like, oh, they're all $7 unless they're marked otherwise. So I made out with 3 gorgeous scarves. So the first one that I got, it's kind of a funny one, like not quite vintage. I think it's probably from the 80s or 90s, but it did make me happy. So it is this really cool gold, black, and white kind of cheesy scarf with tigers all over it. Like, why not? Why not wear a little tiger, friend? And this is one that you could totally drape it around so that the tiger actually shows and doesn't get lost in the shuffle. But I was like, you know what, for $7, it's unique, it's cool, I like it, I'm all about that tacky life, so why not? So I got that one. And then I also picked up this really sweet little Paris like souvenir scarf. It's this really lightweight cotton, but it has all of the landmarks in Paris drawn on it, and then it's highlighted with the name of whatever the landmark is in pink. So it's just very simple, but just a nod back to a place that I love, where I went on my honeymoon. So of course I had to get that one too. I just think it is so darling. And I think that this one would be a really cute one that's like framed. You could totally frame it and put it up on your wall or do something really cute with it as home decor. So I'll keep that in mind too, but had to have that one. And then the last one is probably my favorite just because I am an art history nerd. Proud art history nerd. You guys know this if you've been with me for a while. That's what I studied in college. And this scarf actually reminds me of the artist that I did my thesis paper on. So what it is this square little sheer number, and it reminds me of Josef Alber's Homage to the Square series, which I love so much. He's one of my favorite artists by far. So I literally squealed when I found this. I was like, oh my god, it's Josef Albers, I love it so much. So even though it's great and it's got these awesome like primary colors in it, it'll also be just something that I love for my own personal reasons. So I just couldn't leave that one behind. I think that one will be a great one for the spring and summertime, and I get to share my art history love with everybody else. So last but not least for this vintage haul is probably my favorite thing that I have found in a very long time. So, little story for you guys. Me and Christopher had a day in the city, which is San Francisco, with my parents not too long ago, and they kind of left it to me to plan the trip. So we decided that we wanted to do some record shopping and vintage shopping and check out some bookstores. So we just had an afternoon on Haight Street because it really fulfills all of those wishes. We went to Amoeba, got some records, went to the Booksmith and looked around, and then I found a couple of amazing vintage stores. A couple I went to and just kind of immediately went, not quite my vibe, not really into it. And then one that we stumbled upon, and oh my god, I am so happy that we did. It is so beautiful. So what it is Relic Vintage. I'm gonna put in some pictures that I found on Google just by doing a random search, because I did not take any pictures that day because I was so overwhelmed. Like literally I just walked in and I was like, what? Like, this place exists? It's just, how have you been here? Like, how have I not seen this? It was just so beautifully displayed. Everything was so carefully thought out, and you could tell whoever bought the items really loved what they did. And on every single piece they put a tag with the decade that it was from, and if it was a clothing item they actually put the waist measurement, which is so helpful for us women out there just to kind of have a gauge of if something will fit us or not. So I was looking around and like drooling at everything because, you know, you can go pretty crazy in those kinds of stores. So I said, I'll get one thing. And that one thing literally spoke to me. It like called out to me from all of the other handbags. So what it is this absolutely stunning wallet. And I'm going to do a close-up of it so you guys can see. But I mentioned to you that I'm an art history nerd. It's literally like a part of who I am. So I saw this and I went, that's Honoré Fragonard. That's called the swing. He is a Rococo artist. This is from the 18th century. And just a little backstory, it's kind of a scandalous picture because you have this woman who's being pushed on a swing by her husband, but then you have this other man who's kind of hiding in the bushes, looking up in the direction of her skirt. So it's a little scandalous, but it's so beautifully painted. So I remembered that and I just went, how is that on a wallet, a purse? Like how, what? So I just was drawn to it. I picked it up and it's just this lovely little coin purse here. It has these little gems on top and then it just opens very simply, kind of a billfold here. So already I was like, well, I'm in love with it. Like, it's gorgeous. So then I found inside a little eyeglass case that has the same painting on it. And it's all silk. It's all just this beautiful silk material in wonderful condition. There's a little tag inside the wallet that says made in Italy. And from the tag from Relic, I found out that it was from the 1960s. So I was just floored when I found this. I just thought, is there any better representation of me? You have the art history side, this beautiful style that I love and appreciate, and then it's a vintage item. So I was there with Christopher. I was like, I don't know, should I? It's $45. What do you think? He was like, that's beautiful. Like, you will never find that again, which you guys will see is a running theme. When you find these vintage items, hold on to them, give them love, give them another chance at life and keep it going, because otherwise who knows what's going to happen to them. So that's kind of what I ran into. And you don't have to go crazy, obviously. I know you can spend a lot of money on vintage items, but when you find those pieces that just make your heart flutter, like that literally just speak to you, get them, show them love. So that's what I did. I brought this home with me, and I think it's actually going to live on my vanity back there as just this little slice of heaven that I can look at every day. So I'm just so beyond happy that I found it. I think it is beautiful. Alright you guys, well that's going to do it for today's haul. I hope you enjoyed watching. Make sure to let me know what vintage items you've been finding lately, or if you've ever tried vintage, let me know. I always love hearing from you. And as always, thanks for watching and happy thrifting.